All right, last set here, and then we'll let Butch and Barb come up, all right? Yeah, you didn't know you had special, we're holding the good stuff to the end here. All right. Revelation 16:3, the second angel poured out the bowl in the sea and turned the blood like that of a dead person, and every living thing, all right, in the sea died. Thing there is psyche, all right? All right, so now this can go back and confuse you and say, well, okay, we're just talking about bodies here, right? Things that were living that now died. But again, what died? All right, what went away? What had a problem? The psyche, all right? All right? To the earlier verse about don't worry about the guy that can kill your body, worry about the guy that can kill your body and soul. All right, so it's a different thing. There will be tribulation and desire for every soul of man who does evil, of the Jew first and also the Greek. Tribulation. What's the tribulation come? All right, with your soul. All right, and then James 5:20, let him know that he who turns a sinner from the error of his way will save his soul. All right, Tanya, here you go. All right, save his soul from death, and we'll cover a multitude of sins. We're not worried about saving his body from something. All right, it's his soul. All right. All right, so between Hebrews 12 and Thessalonians 5:1, all right, we probably ought to have Vanessa just come back up here and say this again. It's very clear, all right, that the body is separated from the spirit, all right. You don't have to worry about that, all right. But when the spirit, Vanessa's point, when the spirit comes into us, all right, and starts changing us, it changes our soul, all right. And then the two get mixed up. All right, because as the Spirit works on the soul changes. All right, we read His Word. All right, we make changes to our body. But, all right, we do different things. The Spirit works on us. It goes back, the soul. All right, so the Spirit and the soul are very clearly connected with our nature and what we do and how we do it. We don't have to worry about our body. I mean, just whatever we get is what we get. All right, it's going to be better what we got now anyway.
I didn't know you had that up there. Honest, I didn't.
You did a great job. All right, so I'm going to close right here. We will let Butch and Barb come up. Greg, I don't know if you want to. Yep.
All right. So as you all know that we have one of our groups that we kind of support or we're responsible for in the missions aspect is the church plant in Cuba. And Butch and Barb went down there to Cuba a couple of weeks ago just to get to meet the church plant, understand what was going on. And if you remember, we had, about a year ago, we had Tom Thompson on Skype, kind of telling us what was going on, kind of report out. Well, the nice thing this time is we're going to have Butch and Bob come up and give us a first-hand report what was going on down there in Cuba. So that's what we're going to be talking about this morning. Butch, Barb, you want to come on up?
I like to say I went to Cuba, he went to the hotel.
There's more story to it than
You messed up my opening line. First of all, I want to thank you from our church here, and also thank you for the different church planters in Cuba expressing to you their appreciation of knowing that you guys are praying for them. We took with us the class photo that you guys had together, and we were able to distribute that to the church planters that Bart got to meet while we were down there, and they were going to be passed on to the others. We support 12 church planters in Cuba. Of those 12 church planters, Bart was able to meet 6. Those of you that don't know, I got food poisoning here in Ohio as I was getting on the airplane. And so I ended up, we were in Cuba from Monday through Friday. We flew out Friday afternoon. I spent Monday evening, all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, and all day Thursday till Thursday evening in the hotel room with food poisoning. Wednesday I saw a doctor who gave me some medicine, which I took, and so I was better by Thursday night and was able to go out to an evangelistic crusade that they were doing there. But part of our purpose in going was, of course, to see Cuba, to see what's going on down there, and also to meet with the church planters that we support, and 6 of them happen to be in the region where we work. So Barb got to meet with those 6, and we had a lady with our group. There were 2 ladies on the group. There were 18 total, 16 men and 2 women. And the other lady spoke Spanish very fluently. She was from Honduras. So she and Barb interviewed our church planters. Now, Tom Thompson told me she did a great job. They did a great job. Got all the information from them. So I'm going to let her share about some of these church planters so that you can get an idea of what they're doing and what's going on down there.
Well, when he says they were in the area, many of them got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and drove 6, 7 hours to get to where we were in Covina. So it wasn't like it was very easy for them to come. The first one we met was Pastor Ashley Ramirez. Ashley was married on Christmas Day of this past year, and he shared with us that his mother had a group of Christians that were meeting in a car in the middle of the night in secret. And her dream was to have a house to worship in, and Ashley told her they would start a church. And so they did, and he feels that God has used him to turn the light on in their community. On March the 3rd of this year, their church was registered with the Western Baptists, and he said Satan is constantly trying to destroy that church. On March the 8th of this year, the woman he married had a son, and this child became very, very ill. He was hemorrhaging in his stomach. So they rushed him to a hospital, and Ashley took his phone and called people of the church. And the people continued to meet without him, and they met to pray for the boy, and they said the boy was healed. And this became like a real witness to the people in the community. And the group grew because of this, and more people came to Christ. So he says it's wonderful to see what God is doing in their life. Did you want me to go through their prayer requests individually, or just?
No, we'll just do that.
The second one that we met with was Pastor Eddie Cordero, and he works in a town called Ranchuelo. They have a house church there, but the house is in very bad condition. It has 11 members, and they're currently in the process of joining the Western Baptist Convention. He works, his job is in the town of Jorovada, and this town has 2,000 inhabitants, and he says it's very difficult. He's trying to do a church there, and it's very difficult work to try to plant that. They're currently visiting 11 more people, and they hope to have them begin to attend the church. And he's currently preparing 2 members of the church to be missionaries in their own community. He holds a service on Saturday and a Bible study on Wednesday night. And we met Pastor Santander. He's currently running 3 missions, and he travels 75 miles to get to his churches. And since he has no means of transportation, he hitchhikes to get there. One is in a town called Montembo, and it's an area in Cuba where people are stationed in the army. And he said it's very difficult to preach in that area as there's much opposition to the gospel. To speak to one person is almost impossible because it is not permitted to speak about Christ there. At the present time, there are 7 to 8 people that have been led to Christ, and he's witnessing to others and visiting people in the area. They currently have a place to meet, and they have organized a church. But there's also a Jehovah's Witness and a Seventh-day Adventist organization in that area. Then he goes to Jocotega, which is a local church. He says they're doing fine in that area. They have 13 members. And El Perico is a house church with 8 members. And most people in that town, which means parrot, by the way, have no idea of who Christ even is. They've never heard of him. And many of the people in that town are involved in witchcraft. And that's very common in Cuba. In fact, when we were at restaurants, we would see, the bus driver told us one day that the server had a bracelet on, and it had green and yellow and it had white. And he explained to us that was the witchcraft bracelet. And when they wear that, they're proclaiming, as the Christians will wear a cross, they wear the bracelet, and it proclaims to everybody that they are involved in witchcraft. So, and some schools, I guess, it's actually taught in their schools. We met with Pastor Toledo, who is serving.
Excuse me, Seth. You said they're not allowed to talk of Christ?
No, they're not.
So how clandestine do they have to be with their churches? I mean, can you have a church, but you can't mention Christ? You can say,
It depends.
No, they're in
how
their
do they,
church. What they have within Cuba, Mike, first of all, is what would be outlawed, would be outside witnessing. That's where you have to be very careful. Within their churches, they're pretty much allowed to preach the gospel, especially if they are a registered church. Now, when Barb is talking about the Western Baptists, that is a group that is associated here in the States with the Southern Baptists. And so because of that, if you are registered underneath the Southern Baptist as a church, you have freedom to exist as a church, you have freedom to proclaim the gospel within the walls of the church. Outside the walls of the church, you have to be very careful. Because and many times Americans go down there and feel like they're just going to witness for Christ. One prominent evangelical went down there, started witnessing to the taxi driver, whereupon he was taken back to the airport and returned to the United States, not even allowed to go back to his hotel room and gather his belongings.
So basically, if you want to
And
witness
he's never
to,
allowed to go back again.
if you want to witness to somebody, you got to get them on the inside of a registered church.
Either that or
Well, usually
beneath,
they don't.
you know, they're not obeying
I know,
that
I know.
law within the homes and things. They are, what they will do is they will go door to door and they can talk to the people within their homes, build relationships. There they could share. But open air, just witnessing on the streets or in some type of open air, if you don't have a permit, they're gonna haul you off to jail.
And you don't know if you talk to like your neighbor or your friend, if they would turn you in. I mean, that you have to be careful.
See, when we were there, they used bus drivers, 2 little vans from the Western Baptist Convention. Vernon Brewer shared and Tom said they thought about getting one bus, but with the size of our group of 18, they would have had to hire that bus. If they hired the bus, then the government officials would have been listening in on every single thing that was being talked about in the bus and could have put the different pastors we're working with in danger.
And they warned us before we went not to make any comments about Castro or anything going on in the Middle East.
Or about China. There's great sensitivity there about those 3 subjects. So don't make any comments in those areas, because even if you get overheard, you can be turned into the government.
We met with Pastor Toledo. I think that's how they say it. He's serving, I said Toledo, I'm sure they're pronounced. He's serving in 3 ministries. Combined, his ministries have reached 35 people. Maranatha supports 2 of those ministries, and he travels 35 kilometers over mountainous territory just to get to his people. One ministry has no church building or a house to meet in, so they currently meet beneath a tree, and they meet on Saturdays, and they currently have 15 adults and 8 children. At the present time, he's talking to 6 new people, and he's looking for opportunities to reach others. So, I mean, we have to understand it's hard for us to comprehend that they're putting their lives at risk. When we say, oh, they're meeting, talking to 6 other people, we think, well, big deal. But when you understand that they could be thrown into prison for doing that, it puts a little different aspect on it.
And one of the reasons you'll hear us talking about such small churches and house churches is, as long as they stay small, they'll fly underneath the radar of the government. If they were, you know, if you started having 500 to 1,000 people meeting together, you're going to have a lot of attention by the government on what you do. So their strategy is to reach, to do it through a system of house churches. And also in some of the outlying areas, you're talking about very small communities. And so therefore, you know, a whole community of 2,000 people with no gospel witness at all. And some of these guys are going to share.
And he shared a praise that there's a very poor family that he visits in one of the regions. And the family has an 11-year-old son who's going blind. And the family has no idea how to care for this child or how to help him. So the pastor has wanted to bring the boy by horseback over the mountains to take him to a clinic to see an ophthalmologist. And for many months, for 3 months, the family refused to give permission for him to do that. But the week we were there, they had just changed their minds and they said that he could go. So the following Wednesday, which would have been a week later, he was going to take that boy over the mountains to see a doctor. And as of now, he hasn't mentioned God to this family. He's trying to build a relationship with them, and he's just told them that he is God's son who's trying to help their son. And so his prayer was that he would be able to reach that family. And the other one we met was Pastor Triana. He was married this past June, and all of these guys are in like their early 30s to early 40s, so they're young, but they look a lot older because of the life that they've had. Before becoming a church planter, he pastored a large church in Cuba, and he began to see the need for churches to be planted around Cuba, and he wanted to send a missionary to Motagua, a city of 9,000. When it was time for the missionary to leave to go to Motagua, the pastor himself moved there and decided he would become the church planter, and he moved into the poorest area of the city himself. And he said there's a few churches in that city, but they're not in the poverty-stricken area where he's now living. Under his leadership, they have organized a church. It has 25 adults and 15 children attending. 6 of the members have already been baptized, and he's reported that he's now able to see the fruit of the parents in the lives of the children. So the church has begun to construct a building, and the walls have been erected. And in February of this year, they were incorporated into the Western Baptist Convention. The church is currently working to teach new members how to plant seeds in the lives of other people. And he started working now with a second group of people in a different neighborhood. And someone has provided a house for the group to meet in, and currently 14 people are coming to the church, and 7 of those people have accepted the Lord. And then we met Pastor Garcia, who works in a rural area that's an 8-hour drive from his home. Began this work last June. The area has 350 inhabitants. Currently, there's no church. Previously, there was a Pentecostal church, but it's no longer active. He said it's very difficult to reach the people with the gospel because the previous church had a really bad reputation in the community. But now that he's started preaching, someone has donated the use of their home. So the church currently has 8 people attending, and the work is now considered a church. And because it takes him so long to reach that area, he goes on 1 day a week and he does door-to-door visitation from 4 to 6 o'clock, and then he holds a service from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And currently he's training 8 people to do missionary work in that area. And he's also starting a new mission in Sinaloa, La Chica, which began just in March of this year, and so far 10 people have come to Christ.
Just a few general observations quickly. First of all, what's the average income of these pastors?
One of the pastors, the average income of the Cuban person is $15 a month. Physicians make $20 a month, and they're very happy because they're getting a pay raise. They'll start making $40 a month as of either April or May. They pay nothing for health care that's provided for them. They pay nothing for food because they're given vouchers. And they pay nothing for housing because if you have a family home, you can pass it down, otherwise the government will tell you where you live.
The government owns all the cars that have come into the country since.
Well, the revolution was in 1959, and if you owned a car before the revolution, you were permitted to keep it. So they've kept their cars running, and you see all these cars from the 1940s and early 1950s. So the guys that were with us were cargos. They were like in 7. Now they've just started to relax that a little bit, and they have some new small things, but I think the government owns all those, and you kind of like lease.
They've created their own industry of making parts for those old cars. So you go down the road, you'll see 1956, 1957 cars in mint condition going down the roads. Things that impressed us when you ask what do they need, what do they want Bibles. These guys, almost all of them walk or hitchhike to get. So they were asking for bicycles. What we're looking at doing as a church, I think you know right now we have a missions project that we're trying to reach. And we anticipate we will reach that here in the next 4 to 6 weeks. We're trusting the Lord. If that's the case, then this year, Kids with a Mission, we're going to take the offerings to buy bicycles for the church planters, all of our church planters that we support in Cuba. So we'll keep you updated on that so that if you would want to donate toward that, bicycle costs $150 per bike. So we have 12 church planters, so that would be our goal, about $1,800 in order to get each of them their own bicycle. Very significant when someone is baptized there, because they're making a declaration they no longer believe in their government, which is a communist government still. So when they talk about someone being baptized, you got to understand, they're making an outward statement, I am following Christ and I am not following our government anymore. So that is very significant whenever anyone takes that step of baptism. Pray for these guys. Just pray for them as they are reaching out, trying to fly underneath the radar of the government. And their goal is to reach Cuba for Christ and to turn Cuba into a nation that glorifies Christ rather than a communist nation.
Art, thanks for coming in today. And why don't we take a minute and pray for our church planters in Cuba and our other missionaries. Yeah, let's remember them this week as we have our own personal devotions and we spend time with. All right. Dear Father, we come before you this morning and just thank you for the freedom we have to be able to come and openly worship you, not only here in a church setting, but also in our homes. And we're able to share the love and the gospel to those we work with without fear of retribution from our government or others. Lord, we just pray for our brothers down in Cuba that are building churches up and sharing the gospel, that you would just protect them, watch over them, and empower them through your Spirit, Lord, just to make a mighty statement of faith for you there in a very oppressed area. We pray again for safety. We just pray for them to know that they are loved and they are being prayed for, and that they might be encouraged in what they see. Just pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Butch Barb.